In 5.5, we're going to find slope. Slope is the rate of change between any 2 points on a line. It is the measure of the steepness of the line. To find slope, you're going to find the ratio of the change in y over the change in x. So you're going to find the rise over the run. That's another way that people remember it. So we're going to look at how y changes. So if we look vertically, the rise, we're going to see that from this point to this point, we go up 3. So I go up 3. My vertical increase is 3. My rise is 3. Okay. And my over, or my run, is 2. So that's how they got the slope 3 over 2. So your slope is always the change in y over the change in x, or the rise over run. In this example, I go from 0, 0 to 5, 2. So I'm going to find my slope. And I know that my slope is always my y first. So I'm going to look at this and say that my y is an increase or a change of 2. Then I'm going to look at my x, or my run, and show that I went from 0 to 5. So that increase is 5. So my slope is 2/5. Another way that I can find my slope is looking at the coordinates. I can take the coordinates 5, 2 and 0, 0 and find the difference. 5 minus 0 is 5, and 2 minus 0 is 2. So then I get a new set of coordinates. And I always write my y, my rise, over my run, my x. Okay, so I get the same answer if I do it mathematically by subtracting the 2 points from one another. Okay, so you can either look at rise over run on the graph itself, but even if they didn't give you the graph and they just gave you the coordinates, you could still find it by doing it mathematically. The next part of this section is going to have you interpret the slope. So they're going to give you a table, and the first thing they're going to want you to do is to graph the data in the table. Notice that it shows you what should be x and what should be y. So here is the data graphed. I've marked my 4 and my 20 and my 8 and my 40, but notice I have dots in all of the locations. Okay, and then I found my rise over my run. So if I would write that, I'm going to write my rise, which is 20 over 40. So 20 over 4. Okay, now if I can simplify that, do. So really, my slope is 5, because 20 divided by 4 is 5. So my slope is 5. But what does that mean, my slope is 5? So let's talk about interpreting the data. Okay, so let's go back and look. I know that my 4 represents hours, and my 20 represents earnings. Okay, so in 4 hours, I earned $20. So my slope of 5, my change of y over x, is that's like my unit rate. Okay, I earn $5 per hour. Okay, that's how you interpret that. If I were to go back and look at my table, I can see that in 2 hours, I earned $10. So if I earned $10 in 2 hours, then that would make sense that I would earn $5 per 1 hour. And that remains proportional throughout this table. Okay? I used the graph to solve it, and I found my slope to solve it. I can check my answer by just going back and looking at my table and my previous knowledge of ratios and proportions, and to determine if I did my slope correctly.